Okay. Just put on a song called Serious Storytelling. If that tells you what's about to happen. Okay. So let's get started. So part of the process, again, is after you take a break, you have to ease yourself back in. So what does that mean? It means warming up. So we're going to talk about a topic, a lesson that I literally just learned just a few minutes ago, which is the power of helping. If we all took care of each other, do you think that anyone would have to set themselves on fire? So in this example, imagine my brother. He covered one of my vulnerabilities, one of my weaknesses, something that I'm not good at, something that I can't currently do, something that I don't currently have. Yet now, what if I did the same thing for him? And it could be anything, right? It could be maybe he doesn't know how to tie his shoes. Maybe he doesn't remember to drink water. But I can remind him of that. So I cover his vulnerability, his weakness. And then together, we're completely safe. We're completely thriving. That is why this new world moving toward a process of and prioritization of helping each other is the answer and the solution to everyone who's worried about, hey, don't set yourself on fire. Take care of yourself first before you help others. If everyone is helping each other, then we naturally take care of ourselves. Our weaknesses are covered. And as we continue to talk about the Dark One and the people and its servants that do its bidding, right? Even just logically and physically around us, our abusive bosses, our in-laws that tend to exploit us, right? Like all those people. Once they start realizing and understanding that everything they're doing, all of their dark actions, all of their bad behaviors, all of the subliminal messages that get them to start behaving in a certain way are removed, and they start understanding that it's not actually who they are deep down, selfishness disappears. And once selfishness disappears, all of a sudden, the power of healing becomes clear. So, let's begin. We're going to repeat this last part because I think it's extremely powerful to think about. But it's the concept that the world was created based on the agreement that life and the humans living in the gladiator arena known as Earth would have free will. So imagine the Sims game. Imagine your pet. Imagine your child. So for those who are familiar with Sims, basically you controlled humans that you designed, and you built a home, and you could choose how they live day by day. When they eat, when they go to the bathroom, what job they take, what if they watch TV, when they sit down, and they had different meters that showcase their needs. They haven't sat down all day, so their comfort is low, so they might get mad at you. So you have to make them sit down or rest on the couch. They haven't played any games or watched any shows, so their entertainment meter is low. So you now have to make them watch TV or play a video game or go on a walk. They have skills that they can develop, creativity, logic, things of that nature. So, hey, if you make them play chess, their logic skill improves over time. If you make them draw on a piece of paper, their art skill improves over time. So think about life is essentially the Sims game. Go as deep as you want in that rabbit hole, but if we can agree and believe that there are things that are influencing us, from the physical to the spiritual and the energetically, could they basically be playing Sims with us, right? So now think about it in the sense of, if these computer-controlled characters in the game, there's an option called free will. And if you have it checked, the characters will survive by themselves. They will just start playing by themselves. But sometimes you're just watching them and observing them, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, randomly, they just want to grab the newspaper at like 11 p.m. And It's winter outside. It's freezing. They're hungry. They haven't gone to the bathroom. You're like, why would you do that? Free will. Now, you as the player, the designer of the game, of this sim game, you can actually exit out. Think of it like closing out a tab on the internet browser. And you can actually stop them from going to get the newspaper at that time, because you're like, absolutely not. Or you can just quickly assign them new commands like, go get food, go to the bathroom, do this, and just keep trying to cancel them to do the newspaper. But they will fight you. They will fight you. They want to go, like, no matter what. So, like, literally, like, all of a sudden someone could come in screaming and try to distract them, or like their wife could try to give them a kiss and they're like, no, I must go get the newspaper. Think about it, guys. Have you ever been so set and focused on one thing, but it's almost like there's noises and sounds and things popping up that are encouraging you, telling you basically, don't do this? Now, could it be that it's a good thing for you and they're trying to stop you? Noise, dark. Or could it be that it's a good thing that you don't do this and they're trying to help you? That's the problem. That's the struggle, right? Of this world that we live in, of the noise vessels, of the sound vessels, is that you have to be able to slowly, over time, through repetition, through knowing yourself, through learning from your mistakes, start developing and understanding what is good for you and what's not. And it's a never-ending battle. It's something that we have to deal with every single day. And it changes, right? Like, today you might want to work on your passion, on your hobby. And it's super important that anything related to, like, cleaning, distractions, prioritizations, games, movies, books, even if they're all super interesting stuff, new information, that's all noise today. Yesterday, it was literally sound. Those were all you needed to recharge. You needed to clean. You needed to learn new things. They were all sound. And yet today they became noise. That's the biggest challenge of the game of life that we play, that we live in, is that it's constantly changing based on our needs, based on the current objective, based on the current mission. But there's one thing that's undeniable, is that here's the truth. Any of those things, even if you did it, even though they're considered noise today, they're still helpful things. You cleaned your house. You should have actually worked on your passion project. You were ready. You were motivated. You didn't do it. You didn't get as much done as you could have. But is it really a bad thing that your house is cleaner? There's less clutter. You feel better. Like, the energy in the room is better. No, there's not inherently negative. But in the grand scheme of things, in the grand design, it is a negative. It's noise. But do you see, like, that's where discernment comes, because it's like, hey, if right now I played a video game with my brother, it's noise, it's a distraction. It's stopping me from doing this, something that I need to do, something that I want to do. But it's improving our relationship as siblings. I'm going to have fun. My entertainment meter fills up. Because that's, like, literally The Sims, that's how it works, right? We each have a meter for our needs. Hunger, energy, entertainment, creativity, comfort. Clutter is basically, think of like your environment. Like, if you improve your environment, that goes up. And as all those things improve, your happiness goes up. That's real. Relationship meters, that's real. Like, hey, my brother, we have a relationship between -100 and 100. So as we keep doing actions together, we play games together, it bumps up. Maybe if I played a game with him, it bumped up by 10 points. We were at 30. Now we're at 40. Guess what? Our conversations improve. Now if I ask him to do a favor for me, he might be more willing to do it, because he wouldn't have accepted under 40, but now that he's at 40, he will say yes. And that's how life works. Like, as a salesman, you realize that, hey, I can't ask the CEO of the biggest surgery clinic in Colorado to agree to this $800,000 per year deal for us to do her billing for all her surgery clinics, because she doesn't trust the company. She likes me, but we have to improve the relationship. I have to build up trust. So you have to improve the relationship meter. Once we get to, like, maybe like 70, 80, she'll agree to doing business with me. The company has to only be like a 20, 30, but I have to be at 70, 80. And so I got a lot of work to do. We have to take her to dinner, have to have conversations, phone calls, text, emails, all the sort. It's just like, would your girlfriend or wife accept the ring to get engaged or married day one? Maybe, but theoretically and most likely, no. You have to improve the meter. So I could be helping my brother. Our relationship meter is going up. Is that a bad thing? No. You see where I'm going? Like, that's the difference between noise and sound. Like, sound can become noise and a negative in the short term, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still not a harmful action, right? It's just, it delayed things. It caused It wasn't the best decision, but it was still overall a positive. And that's the difference. Noise will always be noise. Noise can't become sound, and if it has dark intentions, right? It's a dark action. And that's where discernment comes in. It's like, once you realize that there are going to be conflicting signs and conflicting views, you're like, well, how do I know then? It's a lot easier to think, well, hey, all these things that you're talking about, these noise vessels, right? The ads, the social media, the books, the articles, the games, the music, your animals, like, hey, can I lump them in bad or good? The problem is you can't. You have to decide. And it's just like, well, why is my dog wanting me to do this? Like, why does he keep going over there? And every time you go over there, like, someone insults you. Like, let's say you're on a walk and you keep going down this alley, and every time you go down that alleyway, you get literally insulted by, like, this grandma who looks out of a balcony. Guess what? That's noise. Your dog is literally leading you to noise. He is being influenced and controlled and subjugated to the Dark One's influences to make that happen. What do you guys think about that? So that's what we call free will, right? Think about your pet and children, right? They do things, they do actions that sometimes also you just are like, why would you do that? Your kid grabs a knife and is like doing the game where between their fingers, and you're like, why are you doing that? Like, you could cut yourself. And then let's say they cut themselves. They're okay, but they learned a lesson, right? But you wish you could have just like stopped it, controlled it, or like given them like, hey, remember, when knives can hurt you, don't do that. It's a problem. But they have to listen. They have to interpret the sign properly, correctly. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. They could rebel against you, and it doesn't mean it's a problem. Sometimes actually leading them to rebellion could be good if you understand them, right? If you understand your child's motivations, like, hey, maybe they're motivated by deadlines, and you can present them a deadline and you can use them. So basically, you can almost think about these spiritual entities that are involved, or even non-spiritual entities, physical ones, that your bosses and your parents, right? Everyone's just parenting someone else, right? Everyone's training another thing. You're training like your dog, your cat, and you want them to behave a certain way. But think about that. When we start wanting to control them and have them behave a certain way, aren't we essentially taking away free will? So if the rule was that humans are going to live, but they're going to be free, they're going to have free will. But soon you realize that, or soon they realize that that's not actually ideal, because, well, they can make amazing decisions, but they also can make really foolish ones. So do you really just want to be an observer and just be like, oh my God, this is a mess? No. Not most people would not want to do that. They want agency, they want influence, they want to know that their actions have impact. I mean, I'm guilty of that. It took me a long time before I realized that what I'm doing is, no matter what, is worth it. Even if no one watches, even if it has no impact, because it's still impacting me. And that can change, because now my interactions outside are going to be different. My interactions with my dog, my interactions with my brother, everyone, I'm just going to be more positive. I'm going to be more light. There's going to be more light in me. I'm going to be more loving. I'm going to be more giving. So for me, it took me a long time to get to that point. And, you know, it comes and goes. This time I'm finally confident that I'm never going to lose it again. But there's a lot of darkness, and there's a lot of things influencing you and shooting messages at you. And just like that, you can lose it. So let's think about it like this. Think of the Hunger Games.